y'all. I'm gonna go ahead, even though I haven't done anything. I just put clothes on, that's it, this morning. And now we're watching this continuation of yesterday's. We're watching Amazon CEO.
Andy Jassy is here. He's the CEO of Amazon. He's now been in the job about a year and a half, I want to say.
See, these two know each other.
Thrown into the deep end. This is one of America's largest businesses, has a huge impact on so many parts of our economy and our world, and I want to talk to you about all of it. I think we're all trying to make sense of what's going on, and you have a unique lens onto it. This is your first time at DealBook, and I thought maybe we'd go back a little bit, because I know that you never really expected, wanted, or imagined that you would take over from Jeff Bezos and become the CEO of Amazon. So I thought, before we get into it,
Go away.
tell us the story. What happened?
Well, first, thanks for having me.
Why is he so weird?
Yeah, I've been in Amazon for 25 years, and prior to doing this job, I started and was part of the team that managed AWS since its inception.
Andy
I loved that
Jassy.
job, and I wasn't really looking to do something different, and I also didn't really think that Jeff was ever going to do something different in the time that I worked there, and so I just wasn't thinking about it, and he wrote me a note and said that he wanted to talk to me on the phone, which is somewhat unusual. Normally he just writes me with what he wants, and so
How rude.
we got on the phone, and he said that he had been thinking about it for a while, and he was thinking about doing something different, but would only do it if I was willing to take on the CEO role, and I was surprised, and I spent most of the first part of that conversation really asking him if he was sure, if he wanted to make a change, and he had clearly been thinking about it. And
He has a plan.
I was very flattered. I asked him if I could talk about.
He thinks he's an emperor.
All the decisions I've
You
made.
weren't going to say yes immediately?
I have learned the hard way in my life that when I have not made key decisions with my wife, and I've made them myself, they have not worked out well. Including where we chose to live in Seattle.
Learning the hard
First
way,
moved,
that's for sure.
We drove all the way across the country. I picked out this place myself when I was working there for a couple months before we
You
both
picked
moved.
him because he thought he was a
We got in the car,
pushover.
My wife looked around and started to weep. And so, I learned that it's important to make those decisions together. We actually went to dinner that night. It was right in the middle of the pandemic, and it was pouring in Seattle, and it just happened to be our date night. And we went to this place we'd
Cries a lot.
never been to before and never have been since, where they had these little huts for each table. And we
I'm not
sat
sure
in
that
there,
you
and it was
expected your
pouring
life to
rain, and
turn
we were
out
the
like
last ones
this.
to leave. They finally said, you need to leave. But we had a long conversation about it, and she was very supportive, as she always is. And
they have a really
I
nice
was
relationship.
flattered and aware what a big responsibility it is.
Okay, so here we are, almost a year and a half later. Is this anything of what you expected was going to happen? You got this job in the middle of the
Because
pandemic.
when you take these jobs, it doesn't just affect you, it affects your whole entire
Super growth
family,
mode
including
and
your
trying
parents.
to build out to deal with all the consumers out there. The stock was through the roof, and here we are.
Yeah, a lot has happened in the last few
He
years.
doesn't
I'm
have
not
a
sure
money,
people
a money,
anticipated. If you just look in 2020,
what do you call it?
our retail business grew 39% year over year at a $245
He knows
million
money.
annual run rate, which is
But he doesn't
unprecedented.
own money.
And forced us to make decisions in that time
Does that make sense?
to spend a lot more money and to go much faster in building infrastructure than we ever imagined.
He's a builder.
We built a physical fulfillment center footprint over 25 years that we doubled in 24 months. And we made that decision
Because he's authentic and unique and
It took
honest.
2 years to build fulfillment centers at that time. And you had to it was hard for us to imagine what 21 was going to be, let alone 22, but we decided that we were going to shade on the side of consumers.
So it's all
and sellers.
shady
It
business
wasn't
there at
shady.
Amazon, and he has to be a
And so
part of
that
that
was a
because
big,
it's part of the
decision we made, and then,
expectation.
This time last year,
He's
it
like,
looked like we were coming out of the pandemic.
You want what?
And Omicron happened, and the war in Ukraine happened, and the inflationary environment that we're in happened, and
He's
now
like, aren't you
we're in
hearing
a
about all
certain
these things that are going on?
And so
Then you
those
want
are
me to do
things-
this?
There are issues that not just Amazon is dealing with. Most companies are dealing with.
Everyone's dealing with
some
it.
sort. And so, just looking at what how consumers are adapting.
He's,
to the
what's the word
environment,
you
one of
always
the things we're trying
say?
to figure out when we see
The opposite
consumers
of
right
delusional.
now,
A realist. He's a
being
realist.
Very thoughtful about how they spend, trying to stretch their dollars. It's why if you look at, they're looking for deals. They love stocking stuffers and
Have you seen a shift? I mean, this last, Thanksgiving Friday.
Yeah, you see,
He likes baseball.
It's very clear the consumer, they're spending, but they're being careful about trying to stretch their dollars. So they,
he likes he doesn't like gold and diamonds. He likes
for Black Friday,
trinkets
Monday, the last,
and toys and hobbies. Kind of like Gary, I guess.
People care a lot about getting a bargain right now, and they were attracted to stocking stuffers in an even more pervasive way than normal. In discretionary categories like computers or electronics or TVs, you see people trading down in models just to try to get more for their money, and so that it's why we spend so much time with our third-party sellers and selling partners having a really broad array of selection, and we did a bunch of advanced inventory buying to make sure we were in stock on things, and we worked really hard on having great deals, and you have to make sure that you do a great job getting items to people reliably and quickly.
He doesn't value himself like a CEO would. You know how CEOs think they're the shit?
The consumers
he kind of thinks of himself as a leader of a department store.
And companies that are going to take care of them and that are going to provide a great customer experience, and that has always been something that we have focused very squarely on.
You recently announced layoffs at the company.
He doesn't put himself in the same boat as Bezos. He's like, no.
So what does that look like to you? And also, when do you think you realized that this was going to be needed? Because I was going back and watching some old interviews of you, even back in September, and I think you thought at that point maybe it would be no increase in hiring, but probably not going in reverse.
The guy gives him a headache.
Well, this is the time of year we do our operating planning, and it's really, we've been doing it over the last 4 months.
You're part of the bot system, you fool.
Through, along with the senior team, 50 or 60 of these operating plans. And
are these the famous 6 pages?
You're part of the operating
all
plan.
6 pages in the body and then an appendix. And
how long is the appendix allowed to be?
There is no limit to the appendix. And people take advantage of that lack of a limit. But they're very thoughtful. It's a much better way to go through information, in my opinion, than through PowerPoint, where you just don't get into the detail. And in any event,
they gave all my shopping information away.
Our leaders look at where they want to spend resources and where they should adjust. And that's
invasion of privacy. However, I don't really care.
Certain economic environment,
but economically, it is important to know that they're giving that information away,
and I think as we
so they can build their businesses and their pocketbooks. You get that, right?
Over the months, pretty similar trends where the economy was
so the right people, or in their eyes, the right people get
and we just
the product to sell, so they make all the money, and then you all have to, us lowlives, flounder around and try to figure out what dreams and such that we're going to have, and all they care about is money.
But thoroughly go through the plans and make sure that where we can, we streamline and cut costs, but at the same time, we don't compromise on the key strategic long-term bets that we think can change the company. And that's how we've tried to view these operating plans. And just as we've gone through them, as I said, you started to see some trends, and we started to realize that some of our cost structure, when you look at different sensitivities, some of our cost structure were out in front of where we thought we wanted to be. And we made the incredibly difficult decision. At first, you're right, one of the things we did, was to pause incremental hiring. But as we went through the plans, we realized we needed to be more slim on some of our resources. And
if you could go back and do the big expansion during the pandemic again, what do you think?
It's a really interesting question.
I want to go to a shop and go shopping.
A few different dimensions. There's the actual infrastructure build out, and then there's people expansion. I think on the infrastructure build out,
I think you should open warehouses.
We knew at that time, given how long fulfillment centers were taking, given that we're going to always shade on the side of customers, I would have done it.
You need to offer jobs to people.
I think the team made the right decision. And we knew when we were making it that we might be overbuilding, but we knew we would grow into it.
They were overbuilding for sure.
I think
and they were abusing their staff, and they were underpaid.
I think on the people side,
and that's how they do it.
It's when businesses are doing well,
and they still don't make enough money.
Growing really quickly. One of the reasons that we were growing quickly was that we were doubling down on the things that were working, and when knowing some of the unusual circumstances that have arisen over the last,
you got billions of dollars.
Were hard to
I'm not really exactly sure how you can't pay your 10,000 people an extra $1 million split between 10,000 people.
But I think it's a good lesson, I think, for everybody. And when you're hiring,
You got billions. You're like one of the wealthiest people in the world, and that's how fucking stingy you are. That's pathetic. Even if you took $5 billion and split amongst the 10,000 employees.
You want to be a little bit more conservative.
But in their eyes, he doesn't want us driving around in Rolls Royce, which is what my boss told me over at Sea Island. I'm sorry, but I'm working my ass off, and I deserve a Rolls Royce if I can afford a Rolls Royce. However, I would never buy a Rolls Royce. That's on your ticket.
Kindle, famously, where some of these reductions are happening. And some of the reports over the years suggest that
this shit pisses me off, man.
That was losing,
fucking greedy. You know what we want? We want to be paid fairly for our hard work, so we can send our kids to college, so we can go on a vacation with our families. You want the Rolls Royce. You want the status. You want the millions. We want to be paid fairly.
You know, you have to be careful what you believe and what you read. You probably know this.
Yeah, because everything about Amazon is a fucking lie.
You know, I think there was some misreporting that was going on the last few weeks. But
so he's saying he's a Republican because fake news is real.
Of course, devices. There's a lot of.
And he's attempting to assist the human experience. However, he can't because he's dealing with a psychopath named Jeff Bezos, who is nothing but an alien fuck who's greedy as shit, who literally is stopping our space travel.
You have to look at both the direct commerce it's driving, and of course you can account for that lots of different places, but then also there are a lot of actions people take that lead them to buy, like putting things in shopping lists and things like that. So Alexa,
they look in your shopping carts too.
It's got a lot of traction endpoints. It's driving a lot of e-commerce. If we were trying to build,
so basically, when you put an item in your "I'm interested"
investment
bag,
what we're trying to do, which is to build the world's best personal AI.
They can prepare for when you want the item,
investment, and we really believe
so they can produce more.
Where we are, but it's
not a customer service. It's a money-making machine.
You know, if you look at the other devices, you look at Fire TV. We've never had more people using Fire TV. It's the way that a lot of people access.
Fire him on TV.
Video content, or you look at Ring or Blink, which are in the camera and doorbell and security space.
I told you the Ring and doorbell thing. The FBI can tap into and watch everything that you're up to, right?
Businesses for us. You mentioned
we actually are putting in our own surveillance systems for the government.
Purchases of books and other items. So
surprise! It's all connected.
Devices. I like the results in a lot of them. I'm optimistic about them long term. There were some areas where
there's like an app probably out there called Watchdog.
We were pursuing in the devices space.
Do you not listen to my readings last night from the Perfect Team?
Cases, we either wound those down or slowed those down to streamline a little bit as part of that cost.
Remember when you watch those movies and cameras are only this big?
And this labor issue, because it's something a challenge you've been confronting. A lot of other companies in America have been dealing with the labor movement. It's happening at your firm as well. Last month, workers at a warehouse in Albany voted no on a union. Here in Staten Island, they voted yes, and there's a bit of a battle going on there. But what do you see as the state of this dynamic right now?
Well,
basically, when you go to Denny's, you don't even have a server anymore. You put your own order in, and then a robot brings you your food, meaning you cut 10 to 20 jobs right there by utilizing a robot to send you food. So when you go and apply for jobs, they won't hire you. And now I'm curious to see who's going to be buying the products that you are trying to sell us. Who's going to be sitting at the table eating the food when we have no money because we have no jobs.
Suing Amazon over comments I made in our last interview in April.
Yes.
Where be careful about what I say.
See, told you.
But where I stated that we didn't favor unions because they were more bureaucratic and limited agility, which I thought was fairly non-controversial and straightforward. But I guess you're not allowed to say that, or some people think you're not allowed to say that. But the truth is that employees get to choose. They always have had the choice, and it's not up to us.
He's a really good leader for sure.
We tell our employees.
I'm surprised Bezos chose him, actually. But you know what? He probably chose him because he could settle down the turmoil that Bezos caused. Meanwhile, Bezos could still run the money empire from the behind the scenes.
They don't have to go through a union. It's not bureaucratic. It's not slow. It's not a whole. They can just go fix that. And we think that
he's like, just go fix that.
A great way to work. And I think it's nice to be able to
he's better with talking in front of the camera to people to make us look and appear a certain way, but behind the scenes we'll be doing all kinds of things behind his back, yada 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 yada.
Mentality that's not as productive when you're trying to invent.
However, he's not that stupid.
We are on the scale we are. And so, I think if you want to operate in the same structure we have without unions, you have to have compelling benefits. And it's why we championed the $15 minimum wage a few years ago. It's now up to $19 an hour, starting hourly salary and full health insurance.
I'm not sure how a small business can compete with $19 per hour.
This career choice program where
he's saying minimum wage at $19 per hour.
Get an advanced education or go to
so a nurse and CNA who went to school who makes $19 an hour now makes the same as someone who has no education and drives packages from door to door and throws our shit on the front steps.
Cease and desist order against Amazon for interfering with the rights of workers forming unions. And it's expected that the NLRB will soon certify.
They say union protects the employee, but I honestly think that a union protects the employer because the union guy can be paid by the employer, and then you're trapped.
Well, my own opinion on where we are with that legal process is that we're far from over with it. I think that it's going to work its way through the NLRB. It's probably unlikely the NLRB is going to rule against itself, and that has a real chance to end up in federal courts. And so I think that process will take time, but it's not going to change how we interact with our employees. We're passionate about trying to have our jobs in our fulfillment centers be great jobs that people can continue to grow out. If you look at how many people just in our fulfillment centers, about 25, 30,000 of them have been promoted in the last year or two. They're going to be safe jobs. They're safe jobs. They're solid paying jobs with great benefits, and we're all part of trying to help customers' lives be better every day.
Is there any company you think out there that works with a union that does it well?
I don't know.
Makes you look pretty. That's what
Touche.
The guy said.
Let me ask you about something else that's in the headlines, and it's a controversial topic, as you very well know.
God, you guys are such losers, man.
Irving, on social media, pushed out.
Shallow. Oh my God, this guy's shallow.
Wake Up Black America film and book. This is a film and book that is sold on Amazon.
Oh yeah, she must be really intelligent. She's pretty.
From the NBA.
That's the attitude.
Letters from Mila Kunis and Deborah Messing and all sorts of people in Hollywood. The ADL has come out and asked you to take this book off the site. What's your view?
Well,
Deborah Messing, go fuck yourself, you ugly whore. You're shitty in that movie. You're a shitty person. No one gives a shit about you, and the gay community hates your guts. That's why they did the scene in the movie.
The trickiest issues that we deal with at the company, and in some cases it's more straightforward when you have content that actively incites or promotes violence or teaches people how to do things like pedophilia. Those are easy. We don't allow those, and those are straightforward decisions. When you have content whose primary purpose is not to espouse hate or ascribe negative characteristics to people, that is much trickier and a very slippery slope if we take a lot of those out.
So you're basically telling us you are controlling us.
We have hundreds of millions of customers with lots of different viewpoints.
First of all,
first
of all, this Amazon is a business, and you can choose and not choose what you're going to put as products to be sold in your business, because you own this business. This is a business that is owned by someone. Unless you're telling us in this moment that this is not a privately owned business. You're basically saying that the government is controlling you. In this interview right now, he literally is admitting that the government is controlling Amazon.
inside the company, we won't tolerate hate or discrimination or harassment. But we also recognize, as a retailer of content to hundreds of millions of customers with lots of different viewpoints, that we have to be willing to allow access to those viewpoints, even if they are objectionable, and even if
Yeah, because sometimes it's actually research. Because you want to have a book out there for someone like myself, who is an analysis person, to be able to purchase a book on such experiences, so they can analyze the fuck out of it, and then we can get to the bottom of why this piece of shit wrote about pedophilia. However, you are small-brained idiots who don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
So I'm Jewish. I don't like it. I'll be honest. I don't like it. I'm worried about anti-Semitism.
He's Jewish and he doesn't like it.
Across the country, across the globe.
Because he's worried about being in the cool club.
He may not incite violence in the moment, but could lead to it eventually.
I'm Jewish too, and I'm worried about anti-Semitism, and it's, I find several parts very objectionable.
If you're worried about anti-Semitism, then you should not be working with the Democratic government.
We do with hundreds of millions of customers, and
you guys are a bunch of psychos. It's like watching morons yap about bullshit. It's so dumb. You guys get nothing accomplished ever in all your lives. You do nothing.
Including this. Are you still planning to do
You produce nothing, you do nothing, you just manipulate the fuck out of people and act like you're businessmen.
Again, these are, as I mentioned earlier, tricky issues. We have a pretty significant group of people on a panel that looks at each piece of content when there's an angle where we have to explore whether we should remove it. And it's a pretty involved process, and it's hard to scale. And then if on top of it, you decide that you're going to build another process where you have to evaluate which items get disclaimers or not, it's just very hard to scale. And there are a lot of books and a lot of pieces of content that have mentions or parts of that content where people would want those disclaimers, and we don't.
So you're gonna get rid of Schindler's List? Is that what you're saying?
Page as a disclaimer, and the reality too is that we have very expansive customer reviews, and for the books that have a lot of attention and have a lot of public attention like this, customers.
We're not
do a pretty good
stupid.
job of warning people when there's objectionable content.
What do you think of him getting that suspended?
What's that?
What do you think about him getting suspended?
Who getting suspended?
Kyrie Irving?
Well, I think
This is a witch hunt.
That was a Nets decision,
Right.
more than an NBA decision, and I don't know all the details around why they ultimately decided to do it, but it's a decision I'm sure Josiah and the team thought carefully about.
Let's talk about media. We just spent some time with Ben Affleck. He's got a big picture coming out on your service this spring.
Sure.
You've invested deeply in the film side of this. Also, Thursday Night Football is now.
So I love, and this guy needs to shut the hell up. He's boring as shit.
Component parts of Amazon becoming.
He's like going like
When it
this.
first started, people thought it was a way to, avoid churn for Prime or something else.
Charm.
What's it becoming? Or what do you
Becoming.
Want
I gotta become
We're
something.
incredibly excited about what we're doing in the streaming content space, and just the success.
I work for the New York Times. Where do you work?
Just Thursday Night
I mean,
Football.
he's at his high school reunion. I work for the New York Times. Where do you work?
6 million viewers. It's been more than double that. It's got 20% higher viewership in the 18 to 34 demographic, which is really important to a lot of different constituents, which is about 20% higher.
We're just trying to work here and make a living.
The NFL window for it.
You guys have no compassion for anybody. This is the craziest thing of all. This is the biggest bullshit shit I've ever seen. Because I know CEOs, by the way. I know some of the wealthiest people in the fucking world, dude.
Is a really important ingredient in
And they don't act like this.
Sign up for Prime or not, and it's always been something that's driven Prime subscriptions.
Some of them
but
do, though.
Increasingly, you see more and more people who are signing up to Prime because of the video content. So that's very attractive. And then when people sign up to Prime, even if they sign up from the video content, they tend to spend money with us in our stores and our e-commerce offerings. And so I do think over time we have opportunities to make our Prime Video business, a standalone business that has very attractive economics. We have, a lot of video on demand. We have a channels program where a very large number of third-party media providers will ingest their content into our.
Is that what you ultimately want to be? You want to be the center of this?
I think that what we want to do is provide the world's best selection of streaming content for customers.
But it's not supposed to be Netflix or Disney or something else, or Hulu Plus.
We would like to give, customers would like to go to a place and find everything they want. Nobody wants to have to go to 6, 7 different places, and it's part of what's attractive to our Prime customers.
I think I'm going to be really weird today. I don't know. I feel like being really weird.
For our third-party media partners and channels.
Gary, what do you think about me being really weird today?
Investment we've made in deep learning and machine
Seductively
learning
weird.
part of the viewing experience, but they also
And I take on the
access
persona
to
of someone who's like seductively weird.
subscribers to sign up subscribers, and that's been very attractive for them and for our customers being able to find it all in one place.
I love having a
How big is
personality.
sports rights long term?
I think sports, as you know, we've been doing a lot more there, Thursday Night Football and UEFA and Champions League, and I think you'll continue to see us investing in sports. I mean, sports is such a unique.
I tagged. Did you see what I tagged
if you look
TikTok
at
in
the
today?
most watched programs, sports often occupies 75%.
Did you see what I tagged them in?
And they drive live engagement and they
They had
drive
thousands of
subscriptions. So
loves
people,
on that video.
love to see sports.
A girl bouncing in a short dress on the couch. A bot account.
Ask Jeff that question.
Thousands of views. Thousands of likes.
Jeff doesn't really consult with
And that's
his investment.
not banned
Will
content.
he though have to get a waiver from the other NFL owners?
I'm
to
like,
know about
this is what I'm talking about.
Well, no,
The
question
the
is,
actions don't match
what
the
happens
words,
is
yo.
You would need to get a waiver from the other owners because there could be a potential conflict.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the details of that, but I'm confident that whatever he,
I don't know. I don't even trust you, YouTube. Y'all are now charging a bunch of fucking money.
Do you talk to them a lot? How often do you talk to them?
And then every 10 seconds I get a fucking commercial.
Probably about once a week or so, and I've had a long, close relationship with Jeff for 22 years or so, 23 years, and I worked directly for him for about 20 before I did this job, and I really appreciate having the opportunity to ask for his counsel and bounce things off of him. It's very useful.
Well, he, by the way, I don't think is going to be pulling an Iger. He looks like he's living his best life. And
Everybody's on their
you're
phone in the
probably
audience.
position.
We're taking notes. I'm not sure. What would you be taking notes about?
Two other things. Given the challenges in the space right now, what about the movie?
Okay, when they say challenges, you do know that you're the challenge, right? The human race is a challenge.
That's another satellite. That's a satellite search.
How do I get people to purchase more of my shit so I can destroy the planet?
What Elon Musk is doing.
How can I only get people to come to Amazon to buy everything? Meaning people are carrying cases of water to your front steps and not only making $19 per hour.
Companies have different strategies for how they think about investments, and there is no one right way.
The more money I make, the better I'll be, the rich people say.
We ask ourselves 4 questions. We ask.
You guys are fucking greedy as shit, man. This is insane.
Move the needle at Amazon and have the right ROICs.
The greed is the worst.
Today, do we have a differentiated approach? And do we have some competence in that area? And if not, can we acquire it quickly? And if we like the answers to those questions,
You wait, your kids are gonna suffer from all this shit y'all be up to because y'all ain't doing shit to fix it.
I came to the company where we were books only. When we invested in music and video.
Y'all ain't fixing shit.
Home improvement that seemed,
You just think you are.
It didn't at the time seem
Scoot
obvious.
over.
In retrospect, I think it was obvious. And,
Scoot.
I think us investing in emerging
That's not
geographies
comfy.
as we are now. It's one of our big investments. India and Brazil and Turkey and Mexico. Seems pretty straightforward. Or, our business-to-business offering, which is Amazon Business, which is a huge investment area for us, which is already over $25 billion in gross merchandise sales. Fairly obvious. Our grocery space, I think people understand that we're going to live in a world of omni-channel. I think those are.
I need to do something with my hair. It looks like shit.
For people, but sometimes that process.
Raw yourself, fucker.
Investments that aren't as obvious, and I had a front row seat to the AWS experience where I led it since its inception.
I live in the real world.
And I watched.
Y'all live in fantasy land.
And internally about what we were doing there, and just think about how different Amazon would be.
Talking to
the future would be.
that fool sitting next to you on the left. He's a dumbass.
We will invest in things that are pretty different if we like the answers to those questions. And I think, if you look at Kuiper as an example, which is our low Earth orbit satellite that we're building, there's 400 million people in this world who don't have connectivity to the internet and to technology and access to information.
See, he cares about getting everybody connected to the internet. See, he's an honorable man.
Mapping and navigational pieces, and so we actually believe it has a lot of characteristics like AWS.
He has a good character.
But I think there's a handful.
Meaning you create who you are, right? So you can create your character to be a good person.
Will, and I'll say the investment hypotheses to go after that. And so when I look at things like Kuiper or Zoox, which is our autonomous driving service, or even Alexa.
Oh my God, I would never act like this in real life to you.
And I think that, do I think every single one of them is going to be successful? The history of business, the history of Amazon suggests no. It's rare that everyone.
It's like, what happened to you, dude? It used to be so much fun.
One of them actually becomes.
Don't y'all like having fun?
Marketplace and Prime. And
you can still be a businessman and have fun.
I think this next year or two with the economy is.
Although he is fun, it's just the guy sitting next to him is not fun.
And there are going to be a lot of companies who decide that they're going to basically stop doing anything that's not their core revenue generating.
He implied me in the interview.
It's a reasonable approach, but it's just not the one that we are trying.
And he was
to
like
build
floored.
business
He's like, "Are you
long-term
fucking
that
kidding me, you
lasts all
motherfucker?"
And so what we're trying to do is streamline our costs in a
Fucking
bunch of
evil.
different areas, while at the same time making sure that we keep betting on the things.
That dude is. I would touch that dude with a 10-foot pole. That's how nasty he is.
There have been a lot of experiments.
Are you a human or are you a robot?
Making a new one. What have you learned, and what's
I like him, is all I can say. I don't like Bezos. I think this is a promising future for Amazon.
This room, which is the primary care healthcare experience in this country is very bad, and it's in dire need.
It's all because of him.
And it's complicated.
Obama.
And it's hard, and it's part of why I think a lot of people recognize it, and it hasn't happened yet.
He still hasn't given a whole lot of information.
For a long time,
of things that don't work.
Have pharmacy offering,
Yep.
and we've built something there. We're still in the relative early days.
You need to keep medicine out of business like that. That is some bullshit conversation right there.
Amazon Care started as an experiment, really just for our own company.
Absolutely not.
To provide a better primary care experience, and people love the customer experience.
You should not be able to get your medicines online.
It started in a group that was part of my organization in my last job.
You should be calling Walgreens and having the delivery guy deliver it to your house.
People so badly want a different experience. I think.
You know how dangerous that is for medicine?
We roll their eyes when our parents.
Nobody's regulating it. Nobody's watching it.
And our kids roll their eyes when we say we didn't have the internet or mobile phones. I think 10 years from now, people are going to not believe that the way you got primary care was that you made an appointment a month in advance, had to drive to the doctor's office, park, wait in reception for 20 minutes, wait in the
So you think 10 years? 10 years.
No human contact. You're going to die. Bye.
I don't think we had the right business model.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. You're going to monopolize every ounce of business.
Was that people badly want a different model, and
monopolies are illegal.
Which has an unbelievable digital app, so that whether you're doing video chats or whether you do, or simply chats or video chats, you can get a lot.
How much fucking money do you need?
Examination stuff done there, but if you need to come in, they have clinics in lots of different cities, and they don't rush doctors through for 5 minutes. They either 30 or 60-minute appointments.
Let me know how your teeth are doing with that online consultation that you don't get the proper care.
So high. People are hungry for.
Because I can guarantee you're getting a shitty ass dentist sitting on the other side. However, I could totally do it.
Do you think, and we're going to run out of time.
Okay, so I'm going to need you to take 18 films on your teeth with this x-ray tube. Go ahead.
We can define the markets in different ways.
You're going to take that one again.
Big acquisition that
you're going to need to take that one again.
In this
you're going to need to take that one again. You're going to need to take that. I cannot see the root.
It always depends.
Good job. Guess what? You have a huge fucking cavity on that tooth.
Obviously we have.
Here's your instrument. Go clean your teeth. You missed calculus here, 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 and here. Do you know this is the harboring area for bacteria, right? That kills you.
Teams, we love those customer experiences. We think they'll be great together.
And that dentist didn't diagnose this properly. That is not an MODBLHIJKL1P. That is a crown.
That are super close to the.
That's because you're cheap as shit and he doesn't know how to diagnose.
Maybe harder to do than in the past.
This has circumferential demineralization. This one also needs a crown, not a buccal composite.
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, you look at some of the really big ones where, you know, for us.
Do you want to save your teeth or do you want to be in dentures? That's the question.
Really, in healthcare in a pervasive way. Yeah, it's different from some of these acquisitions.
Maybe you should consider calling Dr. Olson and investing in our corporate, what do you call
It'll be
it?
interesting to see what happens in the gaming space
it called?
or some of the
Dental
supermarket
company.
grocery-
Do you think that those deals should go through? Like, do you look at a Microsoft Activision and say,
Now that's some big fucking business right
you
there.
think that's bad? I mean, this goes
You should
to the
see the
idea
fucking shit that's out there. Everybody needs a deep cleaning.
of financial power and buying adjacent businesses that they might not actually
Everyone
do
needs
right now,
retraining.
but they're able to
Crown
get
costs
subsidies to
$1,000.
some degree from the other business. Which I
And
think
government's
is
gonna
more
pay for it.
in
Not all
the
of it.
success, frankly, of a lot of the business model at Amazon. You've been able to sort of use certain businesses to then subsidize other businesses as they grow.
Yeah, I see a little bit differently, which is
You better catch up because Walmart's about to take on some bullshit and they're going to be creating some horror dental companies, which is just like Aspen.
Business that we've got.
Not to mention the people that are going to be working in the companies are going to be working so hard they're going to be basically killed.
Customer experience. You have to build something that people want to use.
Because that's how lowly they will pay them with bad equipment. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. This is insane. Oh my god, this is insane. God, you guys are so stupid, and this is all Democratic Party. This is like literally taking healthcare back by centuries, and you don't care because all you care about is the money.
Acquire another company that has very large share in the same precise space. I think those are ones that are going to get looked at more carefully than others. You just have to not go overboard because.
Do you like how I can do a podcast by myself with a television? With the television, what do you call
We
it?
got to wrap up, but let me just ask you this: since you didn't expect you were going to get this job, how long do you want to do this? And if you weren't doing this, what would you actually want to do?
Whoa, I'm such a good person.
Well, you know, I love my job, and I love.
You're doing that forever, Andy, until
I think one of the
infinity.
reasons why, when I went and thought about whether I was going to accept the job.
However, he's going to assist the country in dental and
a lot of passion.
what's the other thing?
Starting it from scratch with a group of people, is that I love the company, and we're trying to build a business and set customer experiences. that
global
last all
communications
of us.
for the world.
So I hope to do it for a while. It's hard for me to imagine what else I'd be doing because I've been doing it for 25 years. But before I came to Amazon straight out of graduate school. While I was in graduate school, I was helping manage a band, and I had this idea about music management, / label idea.
Fun.
Maybe I would try selling music. I used to always tell people in my 20s that I wanted to be the commissioner of one of the major leagues. Maybe I'd do something in sports.
Oh my god, see, I said baseball.
I've always been interested in writing a screenplay.
Oh my god, this guy's super cool. I love him.
Right. Or maybe I would just start another business. I don't know. But I'm not thinking about those things very hard because I love what I'm doing, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot of cleanup,
the
huh?
screenwriter, and maybe the commissioner. You could approve that deal for Jeff. Andy Jassy, thank you so much.
Jeff, fucking fool. See how he tried to rope it around? He wants his job. Fucking loser, man. I can't stand that dude.